Welcome, everyone, to the Win Now podcast, hosted by Deborah Byrd, founder and CEO of Plug and Play SM.
I am so excited for today's show, so let's go.
And then myself, Todd Bookspan, founder of Win by Noon.
The reason why this is so important is because you can be very specific to an audience and be known versus a commodity that's so broad and speaking to everyone. And a lot of times people just haven't really thought through, okay, what is my niche? And how do you figure out what makes you different?
If you're an expert in one of these things, then that's going to give you the opportunity, and that's why they call it riches and niches. I also think you have to add the fun part. What are you really passionate about? So I think anything that I'm going to be passionate about is something I have fun doing because I enjoy helping those clients. Welcome to another episode of the Win Now podcast. Today we're going to talk about riches in the niches. You've all heard this saying before and you thought to yourself, gosh, that may sound good for her or him, but what about me? What are the niches that maybe I might be interested in that I can talk about more that'll help me, I don't want to say get rich, but help me actually be a better partner to my clients, a better partner to my referral partners, and ultimately maybe have a little more fun in business. I'm Todd Bookspan, the founder of Win by Noon, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, none other than the CEO and founder of Plug and Play SM, Deborah Byrd.
I wanted to say riches in your niches, bitches.
Oh, even better. Even better. I want to say I'm joined by my partner in crime, Deb X.
You know, and I feel like this is the perfect segue for back many years ago when I got into mortgage because I'm in Dallas. I really wanted the domain debbiedoesdallasmortgages.com, like jumbo only. That's a niche, right?
Yes, you would have definitely, you maybe still be in the mortgage business had you bought that website, but
Yeah.
You'll never know, although it's not too late now. If you happen to have the same name and you happen to live in Texas, Dallas in particular, maybe that would work for you. But we really thought about this after our episode last week where you talked about the changes mid-year that Google has made to Gemini, to AI, to their spam. And then you started talking about these whole ideas of niches. We were debating between niche and niches, but then I remembered there's riches in the niches and realized that we got a lot of real estate agents, a lot of loan officers and others who listen. And I'm going to start off with an example that's not a loan officer or real estate agent example, but it's something that you and I are both familiar with, where you think about, what do you think about when you think about life insurance? I think people think about a cheesy salesman, right? People think of an overpriced product. They think of Dave Ramsey saying buy term and invest the difference between that and whole life. And then we've got our friends at Factum Financial that are all around quote unquote tough money, and they're all around infinite banking. And they've built a business where they are technically selling life insurance, but they are calling themselves the tough money financial advisors of the industry.
I think the reason why this is so important is because you can be very specific to an audience and be known versus a commodity that's so broad and speaking to everyone. And a lot of times people just haven't really thought through, okay, what is my niche or niche? And how do you figure out what makes you different? Not necessarily what makes you better. And I think that's why we struggle with this, but really getting to the core of what are you great at? Are you sneezing or coughing?
Sneezing. You were just supposed to keep talking. No one was going to notice. I muted myself.
I could see like there was vibration. I'm like, are you okay? So
Yep,
kind of the 3-step framework to make it easy from Deb's lens is think about what is it that you do better that attracts the highest profitable demand, and then the specific plan or pain that you're solving for, the unsolved headache that you feel like for these people that you do really well. If you can think of those 3 things, to me, it helps narrow in your focus of what you want your niche to be. Niche, whatever.
I think we're going niche. We're just going niche going forward. If not, We're going to spend this whole time debating. You can all tell us in the comments, send us a recording of how we're supposed to pronounce the word. That's just fine with us. We got thick skin. And I think of just examples out there. I also think you have to add the fun part. Like, what are you really passionate about? So I think anything that I'm going to be passionate about is something I have fun doing because I enjoy helping those clients. I'm seeing that a lot now with our ambassadors for First Home IQ. Just I've seen some people who've done some really creative things recently. Mindy Jones, who's one of our fellow Exactly What to Say guide, she's also an ambassador for First Home IQ, runs a real estate team in the Phoenix, Arizona market, and she's created a financial literacy page on her website now. She's really passionate about that. I'm seeing a lot of loan officers that are also building around first-time home buyers, and they're using First Home IQ, and that they're the financial literacy experts in their market and going out and teaching that way. You talk a lot about reverse mortgages, right? Guess what? There's other people out there with gray hair like me, and thankfully I'm not 62 yet, but not that far off, but far enough off. Thank you. Let's just say we got many years till I hit that point. But nonetheless, it's an opportunity that we're going to see going forward where, if you're truly the best at that as the country continues to gray, then you've got an opportunity to get business. And when we talked last week about those things that you should do in Google today to be found in AI going forward, right? If you're an expert in one of these things, then that's going to give you the opportunity. And that's why they call it riches in the niches.
Okay, so to put a bow on this and using last week's example of the relocation niche, the problem is you have families that are moving, say, across country, and it's to a new neighborhood or area that they really know nothing about. And depending on if they have kids that live under their roof and in school, there's a lot of things that they don't know about that market. And sometimes they even wonder, should we just rent and test it out, or should we go ahead and buy something? So that's the core of the problem. They're moving across country for whatever reason that they're moving, and there's a lot of unknowns in a new market. So the niche positioning would then be, maybe if I'm a real estate agent, it would be, I'm the welcome to Dallas, Texas agent. And so I would then position myself as the ultimate local concierge for families that are moving from high cost living areas like California to maybe a growing secondary market like North Texas. So that would be the positioning that I would anchor things into. Then for the content strategy, I would create YouTube videos and neighborhood vlogs that break down specific communities. So moving to Allen versus Frisco, a deep dive for families moving cross country or moving from California, or the best neighborhoods for youth sports, because we do have a lot of people that come to Allen, and our county in North Dallas is like a very dense, high athletic known hub. So maybe the best neighborhoods
For the
for,
birds,
yeah, there you go.
your poor athlete children.
Yes. And so those three things, like having the problem, your positioning, and then the content strategy, helps execute that niche that we talked about last week with, the relocations and remote income.
And in your case, if you were a real estate agent, that wouldn't hurt that you actually live there, that it's a hub for those sports, and that you happen to have 4 kids that play it. So you would have legit content about you participating in the thing that they're looking for. It reminds me of Keith Collins in the mortgage business. He moved from Northern California to Tennessee, and he set himself up in Tennessee as the loan officer that you should refer any of your clients who are moving from out of state, especially if they're moving from California, because I just did this. And so he really positioned himself as having not just the experience of helping clients do it, but he was his own client and did it for himself. And he grew really rapidly in a market that he was brand new in.
Yeah, and I think you can be more intentional within even channel distribution. Like you had mentioned, First Home IQ and first time home buyers, and that is obviously going to be a much more dense market on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, say, than on Facebook. Not that you don't produce on Facebook, but when you get really clear of who you're creating content for and what they find valuable and what they're interested in and what their world is like. You think of younger buyers right now, they feel completely priced out of the market. They're absolutely terrified of current interest rates. They're confused by the home buying process. They're delaying marriage. They have more have enrolled in school, so they have heavy college or loan debt that they're trying to manage and trying to save at the same time. And they just don't trust traditional real estate marketing or salesy professionals anymore. So the positioning has got to be more around the financial literacy and first home guide, where the agent speaks directly to that fearful rent weary young millennial or older Gen Z and break down the actual math and prove it to them that real estate is a wealth building tool and not just their grandpa's or dad's American dream. Because now there's a lot of noise out there, and you have Grant Cardone that's never buy a home. And so they don't know what's the best decision and how do I know who to trust. And so again, you can be very targeted on your messaging and which platforms you should spend more time on versus some people could be doing all the right things, but if they're only on Facebook, you're not meeting your audience where they're at.
Yeah, I think that's super important. So last question, and certainly refer back to our episode from last week. But if I was going to do one piece of content, you have said make it a YouTube video and then chop that up. How long should that initial video be?
It depends. I would always answer and deliver it in the quickest way but efficient way possible. So don't try to make it longer and add fluff. Don't delay getting to the point. But I would say try to keep it around 5 to 7, 10 minutes ish. And the reason why I say start there is because that's the easiest place for a hub to then start that content wheel of other pieces of short form versus written form that you can start to repurpose.
So instead of doing an hour video and touching on 12 points, do 12 different videos where you go
Yeah.
deep on each point.
Yes, because retention and completion rate matters on YouTube. So it's really hard to get people to watch an hour of anything before they click off. So when you can do short bites, in fact, we're seeing more content series outperforming and doing better on Instagram and even YouTube Shorts because people know it's a series.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Mhm.
We'll have to do a future video, a future recording on Instagram series. I've blown away. I'm speechless
You've
about
done
it.
some of these
I
before.
have, but that was never my intention to know that I was a trendsetter.
Yeah, there you go. I just told my kids, they said something, oh, my daughter dyed her hair blue right here at the very bottom. Now they're at nationals this week for a volleyball tournament, but she's like, Mom, it's a trend. Everyone's doing it. And I was like, listen, the Byrds don't follow trends. We set trends. Okay. That's the rule in this household.
Gosh, my daughter Emmy did that to her hair 7 years ago. Maybe even 8 or 9. High school. She was definitely out there. So I get it. I get it. I've been there. All right. So let's put a bow on this one. What's the action plan that you want to give people if they want to find the riches in their niches?
I would say figure out what you're good at. What do you do that's different that you enjoy? What is the problem in the core persona of the person that you're doing that for? And then build the strategy around that ideal market because you're good at it, you enjoy it, it's profitable, and you serve those clients in the deepest way. You've got to get clear on those things first.
I love it. I think it's so important as we go into this market that we're already in. I almost called it a future market. We're already in the market where you need to be unique. You need to have your thing or things plural. If we go back to the Gary Vee example, the bottom line is you have an opportunity. That opportunity is today, right? Best time to plant an elm tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. I want to make you have more fun, hopefully help more families, and maybe make a little more money by finding the riches in the niches. Thanks for watching, listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please take a moment, hit the subscribe button, share with a friend of yours who maybe you think should maybe do the niches too. And maybe if we've earned it, please leave us a 5-star review. As always, Deborah, it's a blast to hang out with you here. Threw me off with your website at the beginning, but I think we landed the plane pretty good.
All right, guys. So now all you have to do is win now.